I heard there's some bad news for Supergirl, and I thought, didn't we already find out about the box office for that movie? But it turns out somehow it gets worse. Welcome back, everyone. We're here today to talk about Supergirl news, and I wish I had better news for you. Honestly, I really wanted Supergirl to do well, and when I saw it, I myself was disappointed with what I saw on the screen. I don't think it was the worst movie I've ever seen, but it definitely left a lot to be desired, especially when you compare it to the comic that it was based off of, Woman of Tomorrow, which is loved by so many comics fans and so many Supergirl fans as well. Before we get into this, I want to know from you, what has been the most disappointing film you have seen this year? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And was it Supergirl? And if so, why? Or did you really like Supergirl? And if so, you can also let me know why. I love hearing people's love of, honestly, anything. So if you're wondering, okay, Amanda, well, how can it get worse than losing almost 200 million? It might even be over 200 million on a movie. How can it get worse than that? Well, it turns out that Warner Brothers was posting some behind the scenes footage in terms of working on the character concept for Lobo. And in this footage that we see, it shows that we have Jason Momoa looking at different sort of designs for the characters, different variations, and those variations all seem to have been generated by AI. What? And I truly do mean what when it comes to this. I heard about this the other day when I was doing a live stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Vampex13, where I may be live right now playing Lego Batman. That's why I'm in this cosplay. And when I was streaming, I was watching some behind the scenes footage for House of the Dragon. And we were looking at some of the costumes and some of the sets and how they're made. And people were like, oh, did you hear about the Supergirl thing? And so when I look it up and I find out that this is now the new controversy for Supergirl, I can't even tell you how beyond disappointing it is. Because you have a company that is making this film, DC Comics, which is redundant when we say that, really, because that's Detective Comics. But the point is, it's comics. You own a company that makes the comics that the film is based off of. Do you know how many artists you have access to, DC, through that? Warner Brothers? Could you not just call up DC and say, can I get an artist to come down and work on some concept art for us? Can't you just hire someone for that? Now, some people have said in regards to the clips of that concept art that's being shown, maybe they just needed some variations in terms of one specific pose, and so that's why they generated it. But ultimately, I don't really care why they generated it. I think it just is so insulting to comics, honestly, and also to all of us that are consumers who don't want AI. Everyone keeps shoving AI down our throats right now, and I'm just so tired of it. I don't want it. Stop, please. And there are so many artists that you can just hire, like people that would like to work and would like to live off of a profession that brings them joy, that they're good at. It's not easy to be a full-time artist, visual artist, or whatever medium you're in. Honestly, making art as a job is really hard to do. So when we see AI coming in and undercutting all of these positions, it's just beyond infuriating to me. As someone who has friends that are visual artists, as someone who myself is a full-time content creator and actor, like, it's just I have no words. The other thing that I think is really weird is that Jason Momoa in this footage seems to be like pretty chill, like just like looking through stuff. For me personally, if someone said to me as an actor, oh, we just really want to generate specific art based around you in the character in this one position, so like that's why it's generated and whatever. If I saw that, I would definitely be asking like, wait a minute, why are we doing this? And second of all, I'd be like, I did not give you my consent to generate images of me. I personally would be really creeped out if I was on set and someone just showed me that. I get creeped out in general when people use AI to pull up concept art for projects, which then you get sent as an actor and you check it out. It's literally erasing people's jobs. And not only that, it's not doing it in a way that's making art any better. It's not making films any better. I mean, it didn't make Supergirl any better, did it? And granted, that being said, Lobo is probably one of the best things in that film, but using generative AI to create concept images of the character when you have tons of history that you could just go through. You don't even have to like get new art commission. You could just go through the comics and there's so many references that you could use for art for that character in the development of the project. And then, you know, maybe if you're also using art to inspire the look of a character, we pay them for their designs. I know that's a crazy idea. And I know that there have been many projects, some of which I've talked about on my channel, that have really tried to cut out artists and their input on these stories. This is a visual medium, and to me, it is very important that the people that are crafting these stories for us, which are artists, writers and artists, but artists are also part of the writing because the pictures also tell the story. So all of those people deserve to be compensated for their creations, for their work, especially when companies are profiting huge off of them, or, you know, have the potential to profit huge off of them if they simply make the right decisions in the filmmaking process, which that's down to who you decide to trust to be in charge of all that, which I'm still confused about having a director work on Supergirl who didn't read the original source material. It's a choice. So anyways, that's basically the news and what happened. And in response, what did DC do? Because of course, then everyone noticed this and they started taking to the comments and they're like, oh my gosh, so much AI. So here's what DC did. Deleted the video. Because, you know, that's a good way to make sure that any kind of controversy chills out. Goodness knows that when you delete things off the internet, they are gone for good. So needless to say, this has made the issue even bigger. And it is also possible that there were other reasons that Warner Brothers decided to take this video down. It might not be because of the AI when people were saying, but people did notice it and then start talking about it. And then the video was either removed or privated so we can't see it anymore. So that is the order of events. So seems likely that the fact that there was AI in there, either Warner Brothers thought it wasn't going to bother people, or they weren't going to notice, or they didn't realize that that was in there and they didn't even notice it. And then when they saw and people started talking about it, they're like, oh no, we got caught. But also, if you're using it here, like where else are you using it? Because I feel like people that are using it for things like this to cut corners, it's very likely it's being used in other places. And I just really hate that we live in a world where so much is being done with AI without any of us getting to choose whether or not we want that to be involved in all of the internet, in all of the world, in all of everything, in a million data centers, messing up our environment. It would be nice. It would be nice if someone just asked or considered what consumers want. And I'm sure there are some people that want AI, but I think for most people at this point, we don't. So, very disappointing to see. I'm not necessarily surprised, but man, it's just feels like we're taking shots at this movie while it's already on the ground, like bleeding out. But still, it just feels like, wow, this already was a project that was really disappointing. How could you make it worse? I guess this is how you do it. That's all I really have to say about this. I just wanted to share my thoughts and share this news for people that hadn't heard about it, because I mean, I think it's important for us to keep companies accountable and be aware of what they're doing so that we can decide whether or not we want to support that, or, you know, I mean, I still love DC, but I definitely feel like they need to be called out for doing stuff like this. It's beyond disappointing. That's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. And until next time, friends, as always, stay nerdy. Bye! And if you love hearing me talk about just the going-ons in the world, news and reviews and all that goodness, you can check out more of that by clicking right over here.